Hello, this is my chamber guide on Lotus. We're going to be looking at defense first and then we're going to attack. So generally I'm going to play bot on chamber, and the rendezvous I usually do is this one. It allows me to kind of get into annoying position. Any annoying position I want to choose, I can go here if I want to. It's a very nice off angle. Go over here as well, which I would like to do as well. Crouch over here, and barely anyone looks at this angle at all. No one expects you to be in this corner. But I like to go a bit forward as well because it means that I'll get less chance of being. Bear in mind that when you are walking out into this angle, is that someone can like exactly mirror you and end up in this position, which they'll win that fight most likely against you, because you have to do this, but they're going to be clearing it kind of like this, and then they'll probably see by looking at this. So you're probably going to lose that fight if that happens. That's just something to be aware of. In this setup as well, I usually have my trap here. In most of these setups, I'll have my trap here. If they tend to scale really fast and they don't have too much mobility, then I like to put it here. Like if they have like a harbor or something, or maybe, or even a jet, to be fair, no, that is a lot of mobility. If they tend to just like smoke this off in some way, then I'll probably end up putting my trap here as an adaptation. If they have a lot of like rays going sight or jet going sight, and that's like one of the main reasons we lose round, or I'm like losing C in that situation, I'll put the trap here, because it stops this person from just scaling up and landing here for free. They have to like shoot this and look back, and at which point they're also vulnerable from both angles. They have to take their time to move here, which they probably won't have the time to do before this actually shoots the slow at them. And on top of that, you know, it slows them down so from taking space, so we know that we can like stabilize in these sort of areas. So yeah, that's going to be C, I think. There's not really much else to say. With my ult, use like a normal operator, basically. You're going to hold at nice off angles with your rendezvous, exactly the same as up. B, so on B, so first of all, actually, I will say, when I'm playing C, sometimes I will do this trap as well, if I feel like if I can defend C solo, then I'll do traps like that. Because it means that I can defend two places at once, so I can have 4A if I feel like I'm losing A a lot. Then we can just play retake B, because retaking B is quite easy on this map. Then I'll do stuff like that. I'll tell my team to go A, and I'll have C and B. One of the rendezvous I forgot to mention was this one. And this rendezvous allows you to, if they don't go A, if they don't go C, in the start of the round, what you can do is you can actually take a lot of space. And you may notice, like, this is not the greatest of angles, right? Because they can actually run past this and end up in this angle here, and there's two elevations and two angles. For a bit. So to collide these two angles, what I like to do is I like to crouch here-ish. And as you can see, it just line up quite a bit with this. So it's not the best of angles. You might be better off just gambling and standing up here. Like standing right on top of the mound, so it's super high up, and it's really hard for them to, like, they're not going to have their crosshair on your head coming around this corner. It's just not possible to predict this. But you do have to gamble, like, where they're going to come from. Like, if they come close, then you want your crosshair here, but if they go far, then you want a crosshair a bit here. So you kind of have to take that gamble. Most of the time, I will just be safe and do something like this. They might end up pre-firing it, but that's okay, or, like, pre-aiming it, but that's okay. I should generally have the drop on them still being this close. But maybe not. Sometimes it's hard. It's just up to you with what you want to do there. I actually don't have a main preference. Sometimes I'll do both. Or, like, I'll do both in a game. This is one trip I'll do if I go B, and mainly because it's just for layering. So what layering is if I TP back to somewhere, it's still gonna give me like a layer to be defended by. This is one of the weaker layers you can do because it's right on top of the rendezvous. But if I want another example of layering, so I might rendezvous like this. When the round starts, I'll do something like this. Put this here, and then I'll take like this angle. And then when they come around the corner, I can do this. And then if anyone tries to push me, then this thing will trigger on them trying to push me. So I'll actually have like a layer of support made by myself on that trap. So that's something like really important to know. And on B, there's not really too much you can do. It's literally just this rendezvous. There is one you can do as well from C, which you can place in this corner here. And then at the start of the round, you can actually walk here. Not many people will expect this one because it's kind of like in the middle of nowhere, and they don't feel like you probably have a TP here. But you can clearly get one. Bear in mind that it's not the greatest of places to TP to if they do go C. So you know, you want to be careful. If they do go C, you don't just take your TP and die. If they take it fast. Or you can actually just be really, really fast to C as well. You can TP quite fast to C if your player needs help. Let's just check where you go. There you go. You can TP there quite fast. Oops. You can go there quite fast. Quite nice, but you can also be... your rendezvous can also be destroyed very easily. One last thing you can do for B as well is if you do have someone that can like stop this from happening, like this fight from happening, like a flash or a smoke or something, then you can do something like this. And you can take this fight here. There's sometimes are going to be mid fights for you to take, but if you don't get a mid fight, sometimes really, really strong is just sitting in an angle like this. And the reason why this is strong, right, is because Lotus is a map that only has one main rotation for the attackers, and you're actually watching it right now. So otherwise they have to make noise at C door, or they have to make noise at A link, and you'll know about both of these from teammates, or even from you on C door, and maybe you'll be able to hear link. Let me check. No, you won't. Oh, you probably will actually. I think the doors are louder than footsteps. So you probably will be able to hear both by yourself, but teammates should be communicating this stuff too. So you actually have a lot of rotations covered from this, right? You've got 2 covered by noise, and you've got like this whole rotation position covered from you, right? This is one of the strongest angles you can get if you can actually take this space. Bear in mind, you're very unlikely to get this space, but if you pick the right rounds, then you can get like some really, really strong value from this position. You can also, once again, you can use layering as well, so you can have it like this. And then when you've TP'd away, you can take this back, and then you can play here. When this thing goes off, you might be able to wide swing if you want to. Wouldn't recommend that though, probably just better to play with your rendezvous off cooldown. For the most part, on like when they haven't actually like taken sight, you're not against the clock and stuff like that. So for A, also sorry, one more trap for B you can do if you know that they like to do they like to go A to B. You can do a trap like this. It's really fine to mitigate that if you want to, just to make sure they don't actually go there. And then we go A. So on A, I'll do a trap like this, or I'll do a trap like this. Oh, sorry, like this. Not like that. Wait, like this. Because they can't. They're very unlikely to spam this. And it does detect if anyone does cross into the tree, like this position at least. So you do know if someone has entered the tree. Then it comes to rendezvous. The main rendezvous everyone does is this one, or this one.
That's not ready.
Which is a good one, completely fine. There's also ones that you can do up on stairs like this, at these angles, or you can do one up here, peek from stairs. Well, also completely fine. I think all those are viable options. And then there's also one that is, if they do take a long time to come to C, you can do ones like, sorry, like if they take a long time to come to A, you can do ones like this, where you can actually get like a really deep angle onto A. So if anyone does try to walk up, you probably will see them before they kill you here. You do have to be wary that they can walk through here, and no matter how far you put this in tree, it will not reach this position. Yeah. So you have to play kind of like I like to play the off angle. This is like more of an active angle, but you can do it on chamber because you do get instant TP. But you might get like pre-aimed potentially on this angle, and especially one like this too. You'll get pre-aimed. So you can do like this at the risk of walking up on you. But I like this because most of the time people do walk out quite wide on this angle. So you can get one kill on the off angle and then move through door, move through tree. And that's basically it for A. There's not really too much else on A. There's one more thing, which is this. So you can do that at the start of the round. Oops. Fine. You can do this at the start of the round, and then you can go around to A. So when the barriers drop, you'll walk out like this. And then you'll have a nice position where you can actually TP back to B. Bear in mind that you are like a bit exposed when you TP back to B from B, so you may want to have a trap on B this round. You can also place your trap a bit more this side, this over here as well, so you're not actually like TPing into line of sight of people B, if you want to as well. If you want like extra security, I mean, there's no reason not to, I guess. The only reason why you maybe wouldn't is if you want to take like a super deep angle like this. If they don't come A, then you can do a deep angle like this. Maybe have to get on top actually. I haven't checked. Yeah, you can. You can get an angle like this with this, which is pretty good actually. If they don't actually go A, you can get something like this, which is pretty nice. But the thing is, it does increase the risk that you're going to TP into death because there's 2 sites left, right? So they go C. This is, or if they originally went C, this risk makes sense. If they go B early on for their pressure, this risk doesn't make as much sense. So yeah, there's something to think about there. So that's basically it for defense. Once again, I'm not gonna go over the stuff with the ult because it's basically just an operator. And also I'm not gonna go over things with the economy surrounding headhunter because I've done that in so many other videos to do with chamber that at this point there's no point wasting time doing it. So I'm gonna go on to attack. I'm gonna start off with A. So there's two traps I do want A to protect my flank, and it's this one and it's also this one. These two flank traps are pretty good, so they do slightly different things. I'll tell you about this one first. So this one is when I know that they most likely won't flank. So the reason why this one, because it gives me a lot of time to worry about the flank, to like know if they're like coming from the flank or not. It gives me more time than this trap. Because when they're not flanking a lot, right, you can't predict when they'll flank very easily. But if they're flanking a lot, then you kind of know they're going to flank. You just need to kind of know when the timing is. But with this, this sort of more detects them deeper, so you kind of get an idea that they're flanking, right? And does it sooner, so then, you know, because you're less likely to think that because they've been doing it less. But it does give you less options when taking space into the site, right? It gives you way less range before the train mark shuts off, which is kind of fine because you're probably not going to get too deep in the space. If they are like not really flanking, they're going to be 5 players, maybe 4 and 1 or 3 and 2, like that, right? And you're probably not going to get too deep in the space that you want to get. But then we'll go over the other one, which is this one. So we get less time to react to the flank. But if we know they're going to flank, we should be aware of that anyway. That's when I'll place this trap, is if I feel like they're probably going to flank this round, or if they've been doing it a lot. And that means I'm able to take angles like this one, which is really, really strong. There's also ones on site you can take, and obviously you'll combine these with like any rendezvous you want to try. Maybe just one on where the bomb is planted, and you can go all the way around to this, like this. This is a really strong position to take. You can do the same, exactly the same, but on the other side maybe. These ones here, take some nice positions. And also, if you do have a killjoy that can watch the flank, or a cypher that can watch the flank, then by all means let them do that, because your trap has other options as well. And one of those main options is, say if there's a smoke here, we can place our trap through the smoke to detect. This is definitely a big part of like the arm time being reduced by half. So it means that this will have a higher chance of slowing and detecting an enemy, and there's less chance of them like pushing during the arm time. So they have to actually be able, they actually have to come maybe shoot this, or they have to speed up what they're doing, then be aggressive faster. So this is like a really, really big part of that change. So I recommend like, don't always use your trap for flank. And that even goes for like, if you're ecoing and the enemy team are buying, they're very unlikely to flank on those rounds because they don't want to risk their guns. So they probably will be playing a lot more together in like a little bubble, in like a very, very small little like cluster of players. They won't want to like go and kind of do their own thing on the flanks. So what you can do is you can not use the trap on flank because you probably won't need it. And then you can use it to clear space, which you'll definitely need if you're playing into like a higher stack of players together. You might want to have like more ability to detect what's there, what you have to fight, and where they are. And when it comes to actually like defending from the post plant, sometimes, I mean, I'll just usually place my trap in tree if I decide to play from tree, and I'll play outside on site, then TP back to tree. Or like if I've made a play, I'll probably TP back in front site, and then I'll run tree. If I've got a trap, then I'll decide to put it near the bomb. If I don't have a trap, which is likely, I don't have a trap, then I'll just wait for my rendezvous to come up, and then use the spice plant accordingly, basically. If I have a rendezvous up, I'm always going to be taking aggressive fight, so I might place my rendezvous like this and take this fight. Yeah, very, very basic chamber stuff, to be fair. And we're going to B. So chamber in general doesn't really have that many options in terms of like what to do with this utility. It's 2 beats of utility I'm not even going through, so hopefully this will be a nice faster video compared to the ones. So this one is basically one of chamber's only options when it comes to fighting in B. So this one will cover more of this space, allowing you to take like wider fights in these angles. Or you can do what I personally like to do more, is this one. which will give me like a worse angle to fight these. But these should be smoked, and this as well. Not this smoked, but these two should be smoked, and this probably won't be. Or you know, it kind of depends on the smoker you have. If you have like an omen, these two are likely to be smoked, and this one probably isn't. But what you can do as chamber as well, you can set up your TP so you can actually sit in here. And so if this door is closed, then I like to sit like this, watch this, or I'll watch this. And if this door is open, I'll actually sit like watching this door. And then I'm still in a position where I can like flick back and look sight and look heaven if I need to trade or something. And I'm also always in a like kind of safe position because I can always press this button. I know I'm main, and I'm also most likely it's probably planted for me in some capacity. So I'm always like in a good position when I do things like that. And then for the actual like trap for B, usually you want to do a trap like this. But the problem is with that obviously is that you're exposed when you do your TPs, and it doesn't really do too much. Like it tells you they're getting flanked, but it doesn't really actually tell you a huge amount. So what you can do is you can do one like this, where it like just about covers like where you want to cover. And the reason why you do it like this, right, is because clearly this isn't going to get anything, right? But they're going to start to shoot it here, and this person may shoot it like pretty close, to be fair, like here. And when they start to get detected. But the point is like you have way more time to understand someone's flanking or not. The one downside to this trap is that they can shoot it from here and then just run it all the way to B. Bear in mind that they can be heard doing that, so it's not like completely foolproof. Honestly, I think it is a less obvious though, because they can shoot it quite far back, and then they can run. They can still hear it if you're close over here, then if someone is close on your team over there, they can hear it because they do have to open the door too, which obviously makes a massive amount of sense. So generally, this is really good if you want to make sure you're defending yourself. But this one is pretty good if you're going to take a lot of sight. This one's good if you're going to play more off sight and things like that. This one's better to defend yourself, but it has its weakness, has its clear weakness. And then we'll go over to C. So on C, generally, if I want to take the first fight, is the one here. Oh, sorry. I'll put my rendezvous on these stairs, and I'll take the fight as wide as possible. If I'm against an op, I won't take it as wide as possible. Instead, what I'll do, that's if I'm against a vandal, right, or anything else. If I'm against an op or like a marshal or something, I'll be quite close and I'll try and take a wide swing against it, or I'll like jump spot to try and get it to shoot, while keeping quite close to my rendezvous. Because you can do one over here as well, quite wide, but bear in mind wide jump peaks are really hard to get good, and most likely you're going to get shot on wide jump peaks. So ones close to the wall are much easier to get good ones. That's just like a thing you can do. Also, there's also one thing you can do as well. It's a bit crazy. It's more to do with the new chamber changes to him getting his grenade instantly. What you can do is you can actually TP across like this, and the operator will have like their crosshair. They might have like a really like non-wide angle like this. So to get to you, they actually, this bear in mind that I know where that is, so I'm pre-firing it. So that you can see there's a second there where they actually have to come out and shoot you. But the thing is you have your fast weapon time, like equip time. So what you can do is, you'll actually be able to shoot at the same time as them probably peeking you. So that's pretty cool. Also, if you do have a teammate with you, they can't really very well do this unless maybe if they're playing jet or chamber themselves, which is kind of likely to be fair. They might be able to do this quite safely and kill you. But teammates should be able to trade in like probably a lot of cases, because they'll probably trade during the actual shot, you being shot. And then the trap on C, there is this trap, but you can't really do too much when it comes to actually going onto site. You can do things like this, which I would like to do as well with rendezvous, where you can go into like waterfall position. Obviously it's very aggressive. You're most likely going to take a fight when you just come out this smoke here, which will usually be there. Or if you don't get a fight at that point, you'll probably get a fight on this corner. And if you don't get a fight on any of those corners, you can come and sit in this, which is a really strong position. No one's really going to check this very much. I personally check it a lot, but maybe people do check it a lot, but I don't really have that experience. Most people don't check it. But then there's also the problem is with this trap as well, is because you can't go very deep sight. You can do one like this, which allow you to go basically everywhere in sight you want to go. which is nice. Most if I do this one, I'll probably do like a rendezvous like this. And I can play it on site if I know we're going to play it on site a lot. I'll be taking waterfall or like watching waterfall. I'll be watching CT. And then if I know that we want to go really deep, so we have like Raze ult and Omen ult or something like that, we're going to Omen ult here, we're going to have Raze scale really fast and pincer this guy and like crunch them in, and then we take C Hall and like CT and kind of like fight for gravel. That might be where I'm going to do something like this, so I'm going to put a trap here. So what this does is first of all, it will tell me, it won't tell me anything about the door person, to be fair, because this already makes a lot of noise anyway. So them shooting it will make noise, but it will be kind of redundant when this thing's making noise. But the important thing is that it allows me to go a lot deeper, and it will still detect people that are flanking from a mount. And usually I'll pair this with a rendezvous quite far up to help my Omen or Raze, or help whoever's pushed this, where I can get off angles like this, or you can even fight gravel quite widely like this. Maybe I've placed it a tiny bit wrong. I think you can actually get. Actually, no, I think it's right in the corner. Yeah, it is. You can get. I swear you could get a better angle than that, but I guess not. This one isn't. Oh wait, yeah, there you go. This is fine, but it's not great, obviously. But you can get these wide angles while still being in the rendezvous. So it might surprise some players to be against you there to fight that angle. And that's kind of it for attack. And I've talked about some post-plant stuff as well. Like how to defend the sites. That's basically it. Yeah, that's basically all it. There's not really too much to talk about on Chamber. I'm only going over 2 of his abilities really, and kind of how I play the scenarios out. And so hopefully that helped people on Lotus. I think Chamber is pretty good on ranked especially. I think he might slowly see a resurgence in competitive. So we'll just have to see. But I think he is more than good in ranked. I don't think he even really changed before. He wasn't really that bad before. It's just that I think a lot of people remembered how he used to be, and in comparison that's pretty bad, like compared to how he used to be. He isn't the best anymore, but he still is really strong. He still does the things you want him to do, like take the first fight. He can still kind of watch flank, but he's not the best at that now. He has some problems with that now, which is fine, but he is still pretty strong in ranked. I'll see you in the next video.